Hello folks, well, this is Miguel from Embargo Man channel. So, what I'm talking about is just one thing about movie reboots and what do I think of all the movie reboots that I think of. Alright, so I have seen to saying from Rocky to Rocky through Rocky Balboa. I mean, 6 Rocky movies, Rocky 6, put it that way. So, one thing if I tell you about is that put after they have a spin-off of the Rocky movies. Every movie has a spin-offs. Every spin-off has its day to say make it unique on its own terms. All right. So when I get to see one of the Creed movies, it was talking about Creed, Adonis Creed, son of Apollo Creed. They don't even think about put it that way. Probably the original Rocky movies, Rocky 5, would be conclusion to a cult classic, right? Cult classic because of it was say of betrayal, all right, betrayal, and in all of the. I just wanted to compare this reboot to the Karate Kid movies, right? You know about Karate Kid. Karate Kid is about this boy who comes to California who who has wanted to learn karate, an oriental martial art, all right? This is like, but this time with this, it goes in reverse. Put it this way. The remake of Karate Kid, it didn't went well. It's not even karate. It's kung fu or whatever it is. Like they're saying, a kid goes to China and then he learns kung fu instead of karate. That's not it. I mean, the basis to do this. Sylvester Stallone don't want to put himself in the Creed 3 series. I think Creed 3 is the last Creed movie. When I saw this, number one is he's being trained by Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa trains Creed. Second one, Revenge. The son of Ivan Drago. Part 2 is the best Creed movie out of the Creed 2, right? So that's it. This is like about revenge. The son of the boxer that killed his father. And they show some revenge. Put it that way. This is it. Well, now what it is with 3, it follows to Rocky 5. All right. They have this guy named Damien Diamond Andrews. Damon Andrews is a kid from school. He betrayed Creed in a high school, a high school kid or whatever it is. What it seems to me why Rocky Balboa is because of this. The mother dies. That's kind of sucks. His mother died. After his father died, killed by the Russian, was his decision has done, killed his mother. All right, so I can't tell you how it is, but then after all, I think they ain't gonna be Creed 4. To make a reboot, of a movie, you have to have a different character. You gotta have a different character on its own. Put it this way, and what I think about a reboot, I think about a different character. I'm not thinking about race swapping like what others are doing in Hollywood. Talking about the Little Mermaid being black. For a matter of fact, people have won nuts. All right, I remember. But the 1960s Batman movie, I did a video. The 1960s Batman TV show when Eartha Kitt played Catwoman. Like whoever got the talent to play a villain. Look at Nick Fury. I mean, Nick Fury is played by Samuel L. Jackson. Well, I mean, it's like you have a different character away from what is the base source. I mean, and put it in the base source. I mean, I love to say that this Rocky reboot takes to the same direction as Karate Kid. But just talking about Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso was going to the Cobra Kai school, and then he got bullied by a kid, right? So that from the original Rocky, from the original Karate Kid movies, from the Karate Kid series of movies, I mean, it is sort of simple. Mr. Miyagi, played by the late Pat Morita. I mean, what it is in this situation, karate, a Japanese man teaching a white American kid karate. All right, so I mean, Okinawa is part of Japan, put it that way. But then you put a reboot of Rocky, then Sylvester Stallone, aka Rocky Balboa, becomes the Mr. Miyagi, and this Japanese kid, this Japanese American college dropout, is the Daniel LaRusso. All right, but instead of karate, is boxing. I mean, the main villain in this movie, to put it that way, and the Karate Kid is all right. So wait a minute, from the Karate Kid movies, I have to go to Google and search it, and I knew it. I think it is. Shoot. All right. I have. Is Johnny Lawrence, all right? I mean, talking about Johnny Lawrence, out of all characters, Johnny Lawrence is the equivalent to Apollo Creed, or you know what I mean. You know what I mean, and like then they after Karate Kid, they spun off with a Netflix episode movie, what a show called Cobra Kai. I mean, LaRusso with and Johnny Lawrence. Danny LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence are like friends. This is what it is with these movies, and what I'm talking about all this after seeing the three Creed movies, after having this twist of objects, to put it that way. I mean, put in the director's chair, nobody could do this, and I believe the person to do this kind of thing that I believe for a Rocky reboot would be working with Sylvester Stallone, nobody else but James Cameron. James Cameron did the Avatar movies. James Cameron did the Terminator movies. But James Cameron rebooting Rocky, that's something kind of epic. What I supposed to be is this. All right, out of all of this is mentioning about the original Rocky movies, Rocky 5 mentioning. And this would be more like a reboot to have another character named Rocky, but this time I would say how it's going to be the teaser trailers. It's going to be similar to, you have seen the Rocky 4 teaser trailer. But instead of that, the main character will be call them. They were born from the same in the same state. One of them has to be Asian. I mean, an Asian dude boxing. I mean, a Japanese American boxer being trained by an Italian American. Well, this is where Sylvester Stallone, aka Rocky Balboa, takes the place of Mickey Goldmill. Mick, the one that trained Rocky in the original Rocky movies all the way up to Rocky 3, and he dies. He put a Peter Sule appearance, so the spirit of Mickey comes out in there in part 5, but this is more in the way of part 4 of out of part 5, out of all this is where it goes, that I would say the main character, they're gonna nickname him the Samurai B. I'll call it the Samurai B because you know what? I mean his main fight would be at the PPG Paint Arena in his hometown, but he's Asian. I mean, but his name is going to be, actually, he's going to be Rocky Yamaguchi. I mean, this Rocky Yamaguchi character, I would say this. The only songs would be apparent. It's going to be like a teaser. It's going to start like this. And I found this teaser, and I found this soundtrack for the teaser, and it sounds like this. And I hope. Pizza on the go with the Domino's app now. Oh shit! And I hate fucking commercials. Another fucking ad in there. This is just for TikTok. It's gonna sound like this. My name is Rocky Yamaguchi. I am Japanese American. Born. He explains it. It'll be like old times. They might say. This is how it starts, but instead of introducing my name is Drago. Instead of introducing Ivan Drago, introduce this new Rocky character named Rocky Yamaguchi. Who is his opponent? I mean, further or not, I mean, out of all this, put it that way, and I have to mention the story, how it goes. What it goes in my mind, I ain't a director, but these characters would be very interesting. I mean, it's gonna be, this Rocky reboot is gonna be just like the Karate Kid, but instead of the Asian guy a Japanese guy who teaching a white kid karate, we go to a Western style of art, boxing. A white Italian descendant man teaching a Japanese American kid how to box. Then it would be this Sylvester Stallone plays the role of Mr. Miyagi, a Japanese actor. Whoever could have the American accent very well, could represent a Japanese American boxer, will play the Daniel Russo, and probably Michael B. Jordan will play Johnny Kreese. I mean, from remember Johnny Kreese from Cobra Kai. Johnny Kreese, who is the opponent. Probably how it's going to be meant to be is all of this. The opponent is going to be in a one two and shot. Just in one film, you're just going to fight one guy, and then the next film is going to be. I mean, this is an interesting way to reboot a series. You introduce a Japanese American character, and he's gonna be nicknamed the Samurai B, and yet Ken Watanabe plays the father, and the actress who stars in Tokyo Drifts, Fast and Furious 3, Keiko Kitagawa would play Robert's wife. So the case would be of all this. How is the starting point of all this? I mean, of course, Michael B. Jordan might be Johnny Kreese. I mean, who else would it be? I mean, they were trying to find out that they going up to this Rocky Yamaguchi's girlfriend will be played by a redhead. Maybe you remember Tommy Gunn. I mean, about Tommy Gunn taking his own life away, drinking his life away, something else because of Washington Dukes. I mean, George Washington Dukes. I mean, it's going to be Samantha Gunn. Samantha Gunn is Rocky Yamaguchi's girlfriend, right? So, Hiromi Yamaguchi would be Robert's wife. I mean, Robert Balboa's wife, Robert Jr.'s wife, right? So that's, Rocky's son. That they will say that they're going to advise him that he has to be trained by the best and everything, and to fight with honor, and then talking about this, and then just mention him in Tommy Gunn. All right, then they mention him in Tommy Gunn. That it is that they mentioned that Tommy betrayed Rocky, and he was foolish, and that's why he died drinking and all this stuff, and whatever, to put it all that Washington Dukes is a sellout, right? So what it is of all this, I mean, to all suddenly that Robert, the son, who I think might be playing by the guy who played Anakin Skywalker before he became Darth Vader from the Star Wars series. That actor's might be playing Robert. And what is saying of all this, that training training an in-law, that means that Robert would tell, oh, this is my wife, and it's tell that he's train his in-law. His in-law, who is Rocky Yamaguchi, being named after Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa would take this place to train him to be the Mickey Goldmill from the original Rocky movies. Instead of Mickey, it's gonna be Rocky Balboa training Rocky Yamaguchi. And out of all of that, it is like, it's gonna be how it's going to be. I believe if it's going to be like they're going to find his opponent, maybe it could be the same as the original Rocky movies, but with just one guy, one Creed, that's it. He's going to, I remember when the Rocky movies they made just 2 movies just to go against Apollo Creed. Going against Apollo Creed, and then the third movie, Clubber Lang is out, and he fought Clubber Lang. The guy who is the Clubber Lang of the reboot is Damian Andrews. Damian Andrews, I will get to that before I would get how the first Rocky reboot is going to be, it's going to be this, you know, they that the son, you know, Rocky Balboa, his son bought the gym, and that the gym that Mickey has owned changed his name or whatever, you know, thanks to his father-in-law, thanks to Robert, married to a Japanese woman, and there was a college dropout. I mean, he was like raised in Pittsburgh. I mean, but his parents are Japanese. He's Japanese American, and then his nickname is the Samurai Bee, because bees are black and yellow, and the main colors of Pittsburgh. And what it is about this, he's going to, Rocky Balboa will train Rocky Yamaguchi for his first fight. The only difference is that there's just totally a different character. Always to have embraced cultural differences. An Easterner learns a Western type of fighting style, boxing. I mean, from a Westerner. This is like the same thing like an Westerner learns an Eastern style of fighting. Karate in The Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Miyagi. This time is boxing, Rocky Balboa, Rocky Yamaguchi. Yep, Rocky Balboa, Rocky Yamaguchi. I mean, to put it to the Rocky Yamaguchi character, I mean, it was interesting to start like the teaser like it was Rocky 4, but then it's just one Creed that he's going to fight, and he's going to fight Adonis. I mean, probably at the end of the first movie, you're gonna have a Father Carmel's replacement. It's a totally different story. It is going to start during Christmas and then New Year's. He's going to fight during after the holiday season or whatever it is, or during the holiday season. Once New Year's comes, I mean, they're going to have this tradition. I mean, this is Japanese tradition about whenever the Japanese on New Year's Day, they go to a temple, they go to a shrine. That means Rocky and his new trainer, his in-law, Rocky Yamaguchi, goes to church on New Year's Day. Yes, to church on New Year's Day. I mean, to ask God for like a better fight that's going to be during in January, fight after the holidays, around that day, right? Fighting against all odds another Creed. Yes, Rocky versus Creed, but instead of Apollo Creed will be Adonis Creed. Whatever it is that is going to be, this is going to be with the Rocky in the first Rocky reboot. Michael B. Jordan will be in the first movie, in the first Rocky reboot. I mean, what it is about all this, they're gonna try to find out, and then what they're gonna tell about this, about training the kid and training his opponent's kid or whatever. But then after all, there's one thing that he wants, Rocky Yamaguchi, as it is, look towards friendship. After he wants to do his first title, he want to be friends with a rival. It's like actually you first gotta swing arms at him before they have a beer or something like that. This is kind of story. Swing up, fight each other, then have a beer, and it is gonna be like that because, put it this way, in the sequel, you just jump in the conclusion of the two original Rocky films, from Creed to Lang, aka the new Clubber Lang, Damian Andrews. But this is what is going to be is that the Carmel character is going to be replaced. I mean, Father Carmel, I remember him. I remember him, they giving the blessings and everything like that. It's going to replace by another character, and his story is kind of very sad that that the church has been survived. They saved some of his children, and the guy who played the replacement of Carmel would be the guy who played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat. I think his name gonna be named Father Yamada or something like that, or Yoshi, or whatever the Japanese name is gonna be for the character is going to be played by Kerry Tagawa. Kerry Tagawa being a priest and introducing to Rocky Yamaguchi and says it's his own people and whatever and whatnot. But this character also is introduced to Robert's wife, Hiromi, who is played by Keiko Kitagawa. Robert's wife, Rocky's son, who after all, he's a businessman and whatever. He learned from his father-in-law and this and that, whatever. What it is about his in-law against his former foe, or in other words, in-law against former foe, aka friend, Apollo Creed's son. In-law against the son of his first opponent. It would be awesome to see Michael B. Jordan in a Rocky reboot to be the main enemy, but at the end of the day, it was that Robert who is played by Robert, who is played by the guy who played Darth Vader in the first before Anakin Skywalker in episode 3, before he becomes Darth Vader. The guy who plays Rocky's son and his wife Keiko, Hiromi, who's played by Keiko Katagawa, Rocky Yamaguchi's sister. And we'll talk to the Mr. Hamada, Father Yamada, who is played by Kerry Tagawa, who plays a Catholic priest, talks to about Paulie, and then this is where this guy does his thing. Paulie stops drinking. Remember Paulie? Paulie stops drinking because of what his sister, and had to respect the in-law. Like, she will be respecting an in-law and this and that and whatever, and talking about the honor and fight with honor and dignity and the betrayal. And they're gonna toss Tommy Gunn in the way. They're gonna toss Tommy Gunn. Why are you gonna toss Tommy Gunn in the Rocky reboot? Because Tommy Gunn betrayed Rocky Balboa, and then this is where it goes to fighting Rocky Yamaguchi fighting against Adonis Creed. Rocky Yamaguchi wins. Adonis and Yamaguchi and Creed becomes friends at the end, because whatever it takes that will happen. Then after all this, in the second sequel, this is where that Yamaguchi's father might call Washington Dukes a sellout. That I will tell you that, and the new Clubber Lang would be the guy from Creed 3, Damian Diamond Andrews would be that Clubber Lang for the Rocky reboot, just in a second in the first sequel instead of waiting for the third movie. And how it's gonna go, all of this is because at the end, after this one, because the first fight is gonna be at the PPG Paints Arena at Rocky's Yamaguchi's hometown, even though his parents are Japanese, even though Robert, Rocky's son, Rocky Balboa's son, Rocky Jr., is married to Hiromi Yamaguchi, another Japanese American woman who, I don't know if she's born in Japan or born in Pittsburgh, sister of Rocky Yamaguchi. And this is where you got all this, that I believe that this kind of twist to make this Rocky reboot look more like a Karate Kid intoleration to, instead of karate is boxing, instead of a Easterner teaching a Westerner an Eastern type of martial art, a Westerner teaching an Easterner an Eastern style of martial art, a Western style of martial art, called boxing. I mean, boxing is like an art, I believe, to me. So it says, instead of Eastern style of fighting, karate, a Western style of fighting introduced to an Easterner, boxing. I mean, this Rocky reboot that I believe that it should be made. It should be made. Why is the reason that a Rocky reboot should be made, and I think it should be made? Because what it is, to just encounter all this universe, you have to go all this within the right director, the right directions for a reboot of Rocky. And the perfect man to do this will always be James Cameron. James Cameron taking the seat of a Rocky reboot would be everything as it is, to take this Karate Kid concept that Mr. Miyagi and Danny LaRusso, that Mr. Miyagi would be equivalent to Sylvester Stallone, and that Danny LaRusso would be some kind of Japanese actor, a young actor from Japan that is willing to learn how to box. A Japanese American willing to learn how to box, the style of boxing, even though coming from the same town. The only thing difference is that the trainer, the teacher, is Italian descent, Italian American, while the student is Japanese American. I mean, and to put it all odds, to put it that way, they're gonna toss Rocky 5 character out the window because his girlfriend is Tommy Gunn's daughter. Tommy Gunn died drinking, and this is all the matter with it. Toss Tommy Gunn in there because, I mean, to put it all this way, the challenges, the thing of all this is that if you could take to this conclusion, not put in a grain of salt, to put it that way, it would be very interesting. It would be very, very some kind of twist things. If you could see Karate Kid, you see Pat Morita played Mr. Miyagi, and the actor that played Daniel LaRusso. Well, I mean, to the conclusion of Sylvester Stallone playing the Mr. Miyagi type of character, then the things would change. I mean, you have an Italian American teaching a Japanese American how to box, and then the only opponent, Johnny Kreese, it would be the equivalent of Adonis Creed. Michael B. Jordan would play the character, and I would think that in this direction, a reboot of Rocky, to make it more like a Karate Kid's kind of feel, but instead of that, it's just boxing. And what it is about all of this, that snap. I remember the song, I Got the Power, snap. Eventually, that snap song would be remade, not as the X Block version, but more like the original version of the Power. I Got the Power. It would be sung by the Teriyaki Boys. The Teriyaki Boys would do the soundtrack. that is similar to Snap, but then a Japanese lady would lead the role of singing I got the power, and probably from a salsa group saying I got the power, and that soundtrack would be handing it over to the Teriyaki Boys. The Teriyaki Boys had did some awesome soundtrack for Tokyo Drift, and Nora would do the vocals. I mean, she's from the Orquesta Luz group, salsa group. Nora Suzuki would do the I Got the Power theme. Well, the thing about the Snap song, the Teriyaki Boys had done that for the Tokyo Drift. And then if I do that for the Rocky Reboot, it would be such an awesome thing. And probably the group from Finland, Battle Beast, might do Eye of the Tiger, or a song related to the Rocky Reboot or something like that. It would be awesome. It would be the step to the right direction. You're not just race swapping. You're doing something to conclude to acceptance of all things acceptance. All right. It would be more of Rocky Balboa doing the part. Sylvester Stallone's part would be the same as what Pat Morita did in the Karate Kid movies, but instead of karate, it was teaching an Asian kid boxing. A Japanese American college dropout named Rocky Yamaguchi. Interesting how to in boxing. So the father of Rocky Yamaguchi, to say the least, Rocky Balboa's in-laws, and to say that Robert is married to a Japanese woman, a Japanese American woman, or that he bought the Mickey's gym and training and whatever it is to promote Rocky Yamaguchi. So and the replacement for Father Kamau, it would be that Father Yamada, played by Kerry Tagawa. Kerry Tagawa plays the Father Kamau, but more to the deep intention from Robert's wife. I mean, helping Uncle Paulie to stop drinking. That means Paulie stops drinking. I mean, and that'll be an awesome thing that he becomes part of the management team. I mean, the Balboa management team. I mean, what it is that at the end of this, the first movie, that Rocky Yamaguchi will fight might probably fight Adonis Creed, and being directed by being directed by the guy from the Terminator movies, James Cameron. Being directed by James Cameron taking the seat of the Rocky movies, rebooting Rocky. Is a whole different story, a whole different concept. It is like it's have the similarities to the original Rocky series. Don't get me bad. Rocky fights Apollo Creed, and then the Creed series has spun it off. Rocky trains his opponent's son. And then with this one, this just goes in between that Rocky Yamaguchi is the new Rocky. They call him the Samurai B. And after the thing about the Samurai B, then we're gonna have a question that is going to be the so similarities, different cultures. The only difference would be that he's going to fight after New Year's, but then that would be end up in church during the New Year's Day. All right, so I mean, I hope you could write a comment. What do you think about a Rocky remake? It should be in the works. I mean, James Cameron should direct it. Hey, James Cameron, get along with Sylvester Stallone. watch the two movies within these universe. First watch the Karate Kid movies, Mr. James Cameron. James Cameron, I know you directed the Terminator, and then after that, you take this part of Karate Kid, then compare it with the Rocky movies, and take this comparison of, the late Pat Morita, who passed away a while ago, God rest his soul, with Sylvester Stallone doing the part of Pat, doing the part of Mr. Miyagi. Instead of karate is boxing, and finding the best Japanese young actor who could play Rocky Yamaguchi. I mean, it would be an awesome and interesting twist combining Karate Kid concept on the Rocky reboot. And I think you could leave any comments and write me comments, subscribe, and hit the bell button, because we'll see you in the next video on Embargo Man, because it's going to be an interesting twist in this reboot of Rocky, introducing Rocky Yamaguchi, having this Karate Kid concept twist into boxing, having Sylvester Stallone playing the part of Mr. Miyagi, but instead of karate, it's boxing. And Daniel LaRusso would be finding a young Japanese actor who could play a Japanese American boxer. So, see you in the next video, and stay tuned. More to come on Embargo Man. Please hit the bell and subscribe.